Hello and welcome to our activity on dinosaur footprints and what footprints can tell us about dinosaurs. If you can hear a slight buzzing noise in the background, it's not a bee, it's my neighbour who's obviously doing some sanding in his house. I hope it won't be too irritating for you. Over the next two slides you'll find some narrated information. What I'd like you to do is to look at the pictures that are presented and think about a story. Who is in your story? Who made the footprints? What might they be doing? How much information can you get from the evidence that's provided for you? And remember, like all scientists, we use that evidence to tell a story, and that evidence could be used in a number of ways to narrate different stories. I hope you enjoy it, and at the end we'll talk about what the scientists perhaps thought about these footprints. In front of you, you'll see two sets of footprints. Have a think about how they are the same and the ways in which they're different. Do you think they would have been made by animals of the same size? Do you think they are made by animals moving in the same way? Can you be a detective and think about as much information as you can about which animals may or may not have made these footprints? Now the story changes. You might have noticed that the footprints on the right-hand side seem to be a much bigger animal that appears to have 3 toes. And did you identify the little spikes that could be claws? That animal seems to walk like humans walk. Probably it's 2-legged, although we might examine whether it could be a 4-legged animal. On the left-hand side, the animal is much smaller, and it looks as if it moves by hopping, a bit like a bird. I wonder what will happen next. The evidence in front of you now suggests, perhaps, that the meeting of these two animals resulted in one having a sticky end. However, there are many different ideas, one of which the children suggest is that the smaller animal jumped on the back of the bigger animal and had a piggyback ride. That the smaller animal, perhaps being a bird, flew away. It could have come to a sticky end. One of the things that scientists need to find out is, what does the evidence show? What ideas do we hold? And how can we decide which pieces of evidence tell us the best story at this moment in time? The other thing to think about is that these two sets of footprints may have been made by animals who visited maybe a food source at different points in time, and therefore, although their footprints appear together, the animals themselves didn't actually ever meet. What did your story tell? On this slide, you can see some footprints that were made at the time of the dinosaurs. The type of ground influences the tracks that are made. If the ground is hard, the footprints will not form. But if the ground was too soft, the tracks would disappear. A bit like when you're walking through muddy puddles with your Wellingtons on. As you pull your feet out of the mud, your footprints disappear behind. If, as in this case, the ground was just right, the tracks can be preserved as something we call a trace fossil. It is often very hard to tell what type of animal made these footprints. We know it would be a dinosaur because of the time they were created, but many dinosaurs had 3 toes, and therefore their footprints were quite similar. Dinosaur tracks are a snapshot of how the animal moved at a specific point in time. And in the next set of slides, we will examine how you can tell how big an animal might be from its footprints, and also how fast it might move.